Welcome to the Heart-Based Homeschoolers podcast, where we help you find the answers to your biggest homeschool questions. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Based Homeschoolers podcast. It has been a hot minute since we've been together. It's been over a month since I've had a new episode out. A lot has been happening here. And I just wanted to pop on, give you guys an update, and talk about some things that I think are super important for all of us, every mom, every woman, every person out there, and talk about a little bit about the future of the podcast, some upcoming projects, and I hope that you'll stick around. Friends, I am so glad to be back in front of the microphone. I've missed it so much. Over the last couple of months, I have dealt with a few different traumas, and I ended up actually December 1st. I woke up and I was, I had a little bit of a pain in my side, and I was like, well, these things happen. I've had pain before, and it's probably nothing. So I went about my day. I had my online counseling appointment, and that usually puts me in good spirits. So I did that, and after that, I went and I laid down, and I had my heating pad, and I was like, well, this will go away. But it didn't go away, and it was getting progressively worse. My partner said, we need to go to the hospital. And I no way, I'm not going to the hospital. I could just imagine I'd go to the hospital and waste everyone's time and be there for hours and have them tell me I had gas pain and to go home, and I'd wasted everyone's time. But, I agreed. We went to the hospital, and by the time we got to the hospital, I was doubling over in pain. Waiting for triage was excruciating. The pain was getting worse. And luckily, after they saw me in triage, they got me in right away, but I had to wait about an hour from registration to triage. They got me into the ER. I got me into a bed. Doctors and nurses, they all came and talked to me, trying to find out what was going on. They sent me for a CT scan. Meanwhile, pain is getting worse and worse, and I think I must have appendicitis. Like, what else could it be? So I went for a CT scan. I'd never had a CT scan in my life. That was a new experience for me. And then the doctor came and said, it's not your appendix, it's your ovary. And I ended up that night having to go for emergency surgery. And I knew that I had a cyst on my ovary. Doctors had told me that before. They told me it was the size of a toonie, which is, it's about, I don't know, at this point, apparently it was about 6 centimeters, which is very, very large. And the cyst had made my ovary top heavy, and it had twisted, cutting off the blood supply. And I'd heard of this before. Actually, a fellow podcaster that I follow, I'd heard a few months ago, I heard her story of how this had happened, and it was the most excruciating pain she'd ever been in. Now I know she was not exaggerating. So anyways, midnight comes around. I go for emergency surgery. Unfortunately, because I have a difficult airway, I had to be awake while being intubated. It's one of my worst fears. Having them put down a tube down your throat so that into your lungs so that you can breathe while you're awake is one of my worst fears. So the the anesthesiologist at first, when I told him my last surgery, they told me I had a very difficult airway, just so that you know. So, he did a cursory look, and he's like, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I don't really see anything, but I'll go in with a camera, and if I see anything, then we're going to have to do this awake. And I was like, nah, like that's not going to happen. Anyways, so we're there, and he's looking down, and he's going, "Oh, it's very crowded in there." I have no idea what that means at this point, right? So he's like, "We're going to have to do this while you're awake." So they freeze my throat, and they're putting the things down, and I am just bawling, and I'm having an episode. I'm just beside myself. And so they stop, and they're talking about maybe we're not going to do this. And I'm an intelligent person, so I understand why they're doing it this way. I know that if they sedate me and I'm asleep and they can't get a tube down my throat, I won't be able to breathe. So this is the only way I'm going to be able to have this surgery and have this pain go away. So I don't know how I managed to do it, but I dug deep and I said, "Okay, Dr. Tang, as soon as this tube is down, you're putting me to sleep, right?" He said, "As soon as it's in, you're going to sleep." I said, "Okay, let's do it." And I managed to do it. Looking back, I can't believe that was me, that I was able to. I mean, I still can't drive over bridges, but I was able to be intubated while awake. And like for the rest of my life, I think whenever I think I can't do something, I'm going to have to just look back and go, I did that. And then when I went for a follow up the next week, the doctors, they were like, "We just can't believe, number one, we can't believe you weren't screaming in pain." It ended up that my ovary had twisted 3 times. I'm such a nerd. The surgeon was like, "Do you want to see a picture?" And I was like, "Yeah." So, anyways, there's that. But she said, "I can't believe that you weren't screaming in pain." She said, "I've never seen anything like that." And she also said, "We were all so incredibly impressed with you, that you were able to do that, because that wasn't an easy thing." So that was really awesome. But still, the whole thing was completely traumatic, was not something I was prepared for, and ended up meaning that I had to take 2 weeks off work that I couldn't afford. So that plus, going into Christmas, and there were three, that was the main thing that happened. But before that and after that, there were other traumatic things that I'm not going to go into today. But um, I've been in a really, really bad place the last couple of months. It just seems, does it ever seem to you like the universe is just like giving you one thing after another, and you're just like, enough already? Like, why? Why is this happening? So, at the time I'm recording this, I still don't know how I'm paying my rent this month. And, there are so many things that I'm dealing with that I'm still struggling. And, you know, it just makes me think it was my first Christmas without my kids. And if you are separated or divorced, or, you know, the first year, I knew it was coming and I knew that it would be difficult. But I mean, yeah, it's been hard. It just feels like I'm dealing with so many things right now. And I'm not dealing with them particularly well. So, one thing that I want to touch on with you is that when we have things that are going on, and maybe we have a mood disorder and we're depressed, we're going through, we're having severe depression symptoms or anxiety or whatever we may be dealing with. And it can be, our first reaction can be to push those feelings away, and I shouldn't be feeling this way, and nobody wants to be around me because I'm feeling this way, and what's wrong with me? But what if we just allowed ourselves to have those feelings, to sit in the suck, as it were? Like, if we I feel like for myself, the fight I have with myself, all the shoulds, you shouldn't be feeling this way, and that can just compound what I'm feeling and make me feel even worse? What if we allowed ourselves to have those feelings? And what if we allowed ourselves to rest? I've been hearing it a lot. It's funny how sometimes I'll hear the same message from several places over and over and over again, almost like the universe is like, okay, I'm going to keep repeating this from different places until you get it. I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, the Genuine Mom Club podcast, and she was talking about rest and how, we're so busy and we're doing all the things. And, as parents, as homeschool parents, and in this society today, we're just busy, busy, busy all the time. We don't allow ourselves to rest. We always feel like we should be doing something. And she'd shared a story how, she ended up having to have surgery on her ankle because she was running. She's a runner. She loves to run. And she was running in the snow at the beginning of the pandemic, and she fell and she heard her ankle pop. And I think a lot of you can relate. She got up and she kept running and she ran home. And, we push ourselves so hard, and we're constantly busy and we're doing the next thing. And for me in particular, for people like me who are people pleasers, most of that is for other people. It's what activities can I put my kids in because they need to be doing things, and what can I do for other people, and I have to do this and I have to do this. And I like to say that my mind, if you could see my mind, um I feel like I have like 20 tabs open, at all times. It's exhausting. So what if we allowed ourselves to rest? What if we gave ourselves that permission? What would that mean? I mean, this time of year, where I live, anyways, it's cold, and you know, even it's cold and dark, and you know, even the animals and nature, they take a rest at this time of year, right? Yeah, certain animals will hibernate, you know, and the trees, they will lose their leaves. It's almost like nature knows that this is a time of year for rest. And I definitely know that this time of year is very difficult for me emotionally, for a myriad of different reasons. And I know that it's coming, and I prepare the best I can, and I use all my tools, and I work on keeping myself healthy and hydrated and rested. Um, but what if we said it's okay not to do all these activities? What if we said it's okay not to get caught up in all the busyness? What if we said no? What if we said no, we're not going to do this time? We are going to do what's best for us, and we are going to allow ourselves to rest, and we're going to set boundaries and say no. I don't know the answer, but I just want to put that question out to you. What if you allowed yourself to rest? If that is what you need right now, might be something worth being curious about and asking questions about, and seeing where that goes. Now, I love talking about mental health. I love helping people, and I love, reaching out to people and connecting on that level and helping people get through things that I've been through. And I feel like that's really been on my heart. And I feel like my next project, this is something I have to do. And I feel like that doesn't really, I don't feel like the Heart Based Homeschoolers podcast is a place to bring that, to really delve into the topics in that subject that I really want to delve into. So I'm thinking, I mean, I love this podcast and I love talking about homeschooling and I love everything about it. So I want to keep doing this podcast. As long as you're listening, I want to keep doing this podcast and talking about home education because I love it so much. But I think there's going to be a few changes. I may be doing it a little less frequently. Um, but I think I'm going to be adding another project, and whether that's a podcast or it's going to be a blog or a vlog, I'm not quite sure yet, but I want you to stay tuned for that and follow my Instagram because I feel like I'm on the edge of something big right now, and this is really on my heart. And I really believe that it's something I need to do. Um, what else was I going to tell you today? Just that in the spirit of giving myself permission to rest, I will be taking a few weeks off from this podcast. I have an amazing opportunity in February. I'm going to be part of the Canadian Online Homeschool Conference. I am so excited for this, you guys. I remember back in 2016, 2017, um, watching the conference and being part of it as a consumer, and just being like in awe of the speakers and having a goal that one day that would be me, that I would be there one day. And to have that opportunity this year, I'm so stoked, you guys. So stay tuned here and on the website, because I will be giving updates as we get closer, for dates and times and things like that. As always, reach out to me on Instagram and let me know what you want to hear. Let me know if you're interested in finding out more about my new venture into mental health, talking more about that. And yeah, I just want to thank you once again for being with me on this journey. And thank you for listening to my spiel today. And as always, I look forward to speaking with you again, to connecting with more of you. And I hope that you have a wonderful week until we see each other again. I hope you have a wonderful time and as good a time as you can manage. If you can't, then that's okay too. And I hope that you find joy in the little things. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.